to make the motion for the new gentleman that's going to be indoctrinated tonight.
Sure.
We're pushing that up front.
Sure, just make a
Right. I'd like to call the Butte-Silver Council of Commissioners regular meeting for Wednesday, July 6, 2022 to order. Clerk, can we please have roll call?
11 present, 1 absent.
11 present, 1 absent. Please note that Commissioner Anderson is absent from tonight, and our thoughts are with him and his health. Commissioner Sorge, could you lead us with the prayer and the pledge?
Chief Executive, fellow commissioners, Almighty God, we implore you, look upon us and guide us this night as we make decisions which so greatly affect our community of Butte-Silver. Direct our thoughts, words, and deeds so that we please you and best serve our fellow citizens. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Sorge. Next, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes for the June 8th, 2022 special meeting and the June 15th, 2022 regular meeting. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you. Mr. Chief Executive, at this time I have moved to approve the minutes of June 8th, 2022, the special meeting that occurred on that date, and the regular meeting from June 15th, 2022.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to any items not addressed on the agenda tonight. Do we have any? I do not see any. Okay. Moving on to the Chief Executive's report. I'll do it pretty quick. I know that our lives have been impacted greatly by some Supreme Court decisions recently, and I want to be clear that out of my office and myself personally, I do support women's right to choose, whatever that choice may be. And as long as I'm in this seat, that's the position that we will hold, and I want it to be made public that is my position here in Butte-Silver. Other great things that have been happening in our community. The Dream Big Foundation was a huge success, and the concert and Keith Sayers jumping, it was just a fantastic event, and people were ready to get out. And as we see now with Music on Main, Lunch in the Park, and now this weekend with the Folk Festival, it's been just a fantastic kickoff to the summer, although it's been a little cool and a little wet, which we're not all that bummed out, as I know Chief Osborne was happy about the report for the fire department, that they had very few calls and very few problems with any kind of fire danger on the 4th of July and on the 3rd of July. So other things to report, the production of 1923 has started to kick off, and people are in town and they're just indoctrinating themselves into Butte, and every person that I've worked with within the production has talked about what a great community and how friendly everyone's been. We met with directors today with 3 of the members of the production, and they couldn't say enough about our community, and they've been fantastic partners as well as we've been starting to work forward with that. So with that, I'm going to close out the Chief Executive's report and move on to any public comment on any item that is on tonight's agenda. Please come forward, state your name, your address, and what you'll be speaking on, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Jim Moyle, 2475 Zella Drive. I'm going to be speaking on the renewal of the lease for the Jacobs House. I'm the board president of the Root and Bloom Collective, and I would like to make a positive comment regarding renewing the lease. In support of this, actually it's on the agenda as Communications 2022-330. In support of this, I'd like to read a very brief letter that the Root and Bloom sent to Chief Executive Gallagher. The Root and Bloom Collective would like to take this opportunity to thank you and Silverboe County for allowing our nonprofit, the Root and Bloom Collective, to lease the Jacobs House for the past year. We would also like to request that this lease be renewed for another year under the same terms. The opportunity to offer the space of the Jacobs House to provide temporary housing to visiting artists and writers and those working to further arts and humanities in Butte has been highly successful in its first year. In the coming year, we have many more visitors planned, and we would love to continue to manage this space in a responsible and productive way that will make Butte proud and that will allow the people of Butte greater access to high-quality arts and humanities programming. To date, the Jacobs House has housed 35 guests who have stayed a combined total of 129 days, with stays ranging from one night to approximately 1 month. The median guest has stayed 3 nights. Some of our guests have been able to donate a payment for their stays, which helps our small nonprofit offset its costs of running the Jacobs House. So far, we have received $1,869 in donated revenue to help offset these costs. Other visitors have offered programming at the Clark Chateau as part of their stay. This has allowed us to enhance the arts and humanities program at the Chateau. The programming has resulted in events that have brought approximately 325 people into the Chateau. Other artists have come as guests to different organizations around Butte, including the Butte Symphony, Montana Tech, allowing these organizations to enhance their programming as well. Our resident artists have come from as near as Butte, and also from Missoula, Helena, Livingston, and as far as Texas and Chicago. These visitors have included poets, writers, musicians, playwrights, and visual artists, as well as social scientists and those working on educational programming. From this date forward, we have bookings planned for approximately 46 more visiting artists through 2023, with more bookings to be made as we continue with our arts and humanities programming. These visitors include 10 sets of musicians participating in the New Songs for Butte Mining Camp project, funded by a generous grant from the National Endowment for the Arts. The concerts from this project performed in the Clark Chateau Ballroom have become a very popular event with the public, even bringing in visitors from out of town to attend. Our last concert had 75 attendees. In addition to the New Songs musicians, we plan to house a dancer and a writer as part of the Montana Open Air Artist Residency, and we are providing housing to assist other organizations, including housing for an intern to do programming planning for the B'nai Israel Synagogue project, sponsored by the Friends of the Archives, and an AmeriCorps Vista volunteer sponsored by Science Mind. These visitors will come mostly from various locations in Montana, but also from as far as New Orleans. On April 24th, 2022, the Root and Bloom Collective offered an open house to the public in Butte so our community could walk through the Jacobs House and learn about our programming and artist residency opportunities. It was well attended with approximately 45 visitors. The public in Butte and all of our guests have been very supportive of our endeavor, and visitors have really enjoyed their stays, with many planning to return. In addition, a loyal group of volunteers work to maintain the yard and exterior and to clean the Jacobs House in between visitors, donating time and supplies to keep the house running smoothly. Finally, we have worked with Butte-Silver government buildings to secure a SARTA grant for $13,000 to restore the historic windows throughout the house. This will be implemented this coming year. The Root and Bloom Collective is very grateful for the support you and the City County have shown us in allowing us to manage the Jacobs House as an artist and writer's residence. The generous terms of our annual renewable lease with Butte-Silver City County have allowed us to succeed. In addition, we believe our management of the Jacobs House is beneficial to Butte, enhancing arts and humanities programming for the community and making productive use of the important historic structure, the home of Butte's first mayor. We believe that 2022-23 will be even more successful as the Jacobs House becomes more well-known throughout Butte and the state of Montana as a place where visiting artists can secure affordable temporary housing to share their work with the community. We respectfully request that the City County renew this lease on the same terms as the previous lease of the 22-23 year. Thank you for your continued support.
Thank you, Mr. Moyle. Is there any other public comment on any item on the agenda tonight? Please state your name, your address, and what item you will be speaking on.
My name is Dawn Anderson. I live at 529 South Colorado Street, and I'm here to express my support for the lease renewal of the Jacobs House by the Root and Bloom Collective. I think by allowing the collective to continue to offer space to artists who want to visit and work in Butte, there's a huge opportunity for cultural enrichment in our community. As music director at KBMF, Butte's community station right across the street, we bring in traveling artists frequently, and I see a lot of potential for partnership and collaboration, as I'm sure exists with other cultural organizations in our community. The collective has created a beautiful space and has a wonderful vision, and I hope they'll receive your support.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment on any item on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to the next item, and we're going to move up section 3 on tonight's agenda, communications to be read and acted upon. We have 2 today, and we'll start with the very first one. Communication number 2022-326, J.P. Gallagher, Chief Executive, requesting Council of Commissioners concurrence in the appointment of John Morgan as the Director of Human Resources for Butte-Silver. And I'd like to, should we move to approve and then let Mr. Morgan speak to us?
Thank you. Mr. Chief Executive, I don't know, I think John should be made to speak. Speech. Okay. Well, it is definitely my honor to concur with the appointment of John Morgan as our Director of Human Resources for Butte-Silver. So communication 2022-326, concur and place on file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to concur and place on file the appointment of John Morgan as Human Resources Director for Butte-Silver. Is there anything on the question? Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I'd just like to state that I've known John Morgan for many, many years, and he's a well-qualified person, and I feel the Chief Executive and any of the interview staff made the right decision. John served on the Council of Commissioners as I started. He was Chairman of the Council of Commissioners. He recently left a really good position at a good firm, and I think Butte-Silver is really, really gifted to get a person like John Morgan to serve in our government. So congratulations, John. Good luck. Thank you.
Commissioner Sorge.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I'll be real quick. I'm going to echo what Commissioner Fisher says. I think we're very fortunate. John's experience is, you can't put a price tag on his experience in both the HR and also, being with the Council of Commissioners. I served with John for many years, and I think we're very, very fortunate that John's going to be working with us again.
Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Just want to wish you congratulations. Well, I guess soon. Just echoing what these two said, I wholeheartedly support this. I think that this was a great move by Butte-Silver. Not being your co-worker, I guess, on council, I don't have the relationship with you, but I will say that in my time knowing you, you've lent me a hand and you've been very supportive, and I have no doubt that you'll continue to do that here at Butte-Silver. So thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Thatcher. Commissioner Shea.
I might as well piggyback off of what everybody is saying. Being the HR director for a government agency is a very difficult position, and if anybody has the chops for it, it's John Morgan. So I'm really pleased with the decision. I'm really pleased with the selection, the institutional knowledge that you have right now, and combined with your HR expertise is going to be a really, really big benefit to the community.
Thank you, Commissioner Shea. And I'd like to add on the chief executive side, we went through the screening process and we interviewed some fantastic candidates. And at the end of the day, we got the best candidate, the one that came in with the most experience, that showed the true desire and want for this position. So I feel very fortunate that we had John Morgan apply for this job and was selected. And now, as we go forward, clerk, could we please record the vote?
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. And now, Mr. Morgan, you're welcome to speak to the council.
You
guys are in trouble. You gave an ex-politician a microphone and an audience. John Morgan, 2230 North Drive. I've always wanted to do that. Mr. Chief Executive, ladies and gentlemen of the council, I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to continue to serve Butte-Silver Bow in a completely different capacity than what I had. I'm excited for this position. There's some things that I'm eager to start on, but most importantly, I'm excited to work with each and every one of you, as well as the employees of Butte-Silver Bow. So, Chief Executive Gallagher, thank you. Commissioners, thank you, and I look forward to working with you over the next several years. So, thank you.
Thanks, John, and congratulations, and welcome aboard. Next, we'll move to communication number 2022-350, Zach Osborne, Butte-Silver Bow Fire Chief, requesting Council Commissioners' concurrence to promote Matt Doble to Captain of the Butte-Silver Bow Fire Department. Matthew is a 9-year veteran and has shown outstanding leadership and commitment to the Butte-Silver Bow Fire Department. So I'll have Chief Osborne come forward and talk about his recommendation, and then we'll move forward.
Council Commissioners, Chief Executive, Council Commissioners, thanks again for having me back up here. Seems like we've been doing this quite a bit lately. But like I try to always start, I'll give you a little history of what we're doing. 8 applicants went for our 1 captain's promotion. We recently promoted Chad Silk from his captain's position to a BC position, which opened up a captain's position. So again, this was a evaluation, written test, interview, and a pretty in-depth scenario that they have to go through. And in the end, Matt Doble came out on top. A little information about Matt, like you said, 9-year veteran of the B Fire Department, graduate of Montana Tech with multiple degrees, and a born and raised Butte kid. He spent a lot of his childhood in the fire station. His dad, Pat, or as we liked to call him, Old Man Dobes, spent 39 years with us at the fire department. So I'm sure Old Man Dobes is especially proud of his son. Matt's a true leader, takes every advantage, takes advantage of every opportunity to show his leadership skills. High school football coach for Butte High for many years. He's our leader of our smoke alarm program. He's a leader of our career fair programs, and he constantly leads in multiple trainings and classes within our department. I'm extremely proud of Matt and what he has done in his career, and I'm very confident that he will exceed every expectation that we have that a captain needs at our department. So, thank you.
Thanks, Chief Osborne. And with that, I'll move to Commissioner Shaw, and then we'll move, or Commissioner Sorge, I'm sorry, yes, that's right, Commissioner Sorge.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. You know, I just want to say real quickly, as the chairman of the Fire Advisory, I've gotten to know some of the different firemen from both the volunteers and the paid, and there's some very talented individuals. I think we're very fortunate to have Matt moving up the line to the next position. Saying that, I would like to make a motion to concur with communication number 2022-350, the promotion of Matt Doble and place on file.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to concur and place on file. Is there anything on the question? Commissioner Fisher.
Once again, thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I've known the Doble family for many, many years. They're a great family, and I think Butte has done very well once again, and I'm proud to say Matt Doble be promoted to the fire department. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fisher. I'd like to add a little bit my narrative too, and I've said this multiple times about our fire department. We're very fortunate to have the talent pool that we have in the fire department. We have highly educated, highly trained, skilled people that are advancing in there, and so it makes me very proud. It also makes me very proud that when Matt was in high school, I got to coach him, as he was a javelin thrower for me, and it was kind of my first go around at that time too. And I think in the beginning he asked, "What should I do?" And I said, "Well, if you throw farther than the other guys, you'll win." So he was a good javelin thrower, but he was a coachable kid. He was a smart kid, and I always knew he'd go places. And so I want to, after this motion and vote, I'll welcome you on to as a new captain. Anything else on the question? Could commissioners please vote? Would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Congratulations, Matt. Matt, please.
Thank you very much for that. First off, I'd like to thank my wife, Ashley. She's been my rock, support, so she's been through the whole thing. So the last couple months have been a huge process, but I got to give a lot of credit to her, so thank you. I got to thank all the guys here that supported me. There was 8 guys for this position, and it was a tough way of going, and any one of those could be standing up there, not me. So, and then I'd like to thank my mom and dad, following my dad's footsteps for 39 years. It's a dream come true for me. And thank you, Chief Executive, Council. Appreciate it, entrusting me with this, and I won't let you down, and thank you.
Thanks, Matt, and congratulations again. And if you guys don't want to sit in the audience and find out what else goes on here, go out and take pictures with your family and get your congratulations. Thank you all for being here tonight. All right, we're now going to move on to section 1, bid openings, public hearings, and our presentations. We have a couple bid openings. County Attorney, do we have proof of publication?
Mr. Chief Executive, we do have proof of publication for both bid openings, and both appear to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce. We'll start with communication number 2022-305, Mark Mary, Public Works Director, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to schedule a bid opening for July 6, 2022 for the above-ground fuel tanks for the city-county. Director Mary.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Commissioners, for the record, I'm Mark Neary, Public Works Director. Looks like we have 2 bids for the above-ground fuel tank. The first one is from Granite Petroleum out of Spokane, Washington.
Mr. Chief Executive, there is a bid bond in the amount of 10% from a licensed surety company that appears to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce.
Chief Executive Gallagher, the total cost of this is $604,244 and no cents. $604,244.
$604,244.
The next bid is from Northwest Co. out of Kalispell.
And Mr. Chief Executive, there is a bid bond in the amount of 10% from a licensed surety company that appears to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce.
Chief Executive Gallagher, the total cost of this is $432,867.42. $432,867.42.
$432,867.42. Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Bill just texted me, I wanted to know the engineering's estimate. Thank you.
Commissioner O'Neill, Director Neary.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner O'Neill, and Commissioner Anderson, the engineer's estimate was $500,000.
Thank you, Director Neary. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I would refer these two bids back to the Public Works Director and his department to review these two applications and then also to come back to this body with their results.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to refer back to the Public Works Department for their review. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? Would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yea, 0 nay, motion passes. Thank you, Director Neary. Moving on to communication number 2022-332, Ken Burns, Community Development Director, requesting Council Commissioners authorization to schedule an RFP opening on July 6, 2022, related to the Finland Hotel Fire Suppression Project funded by the CDBG ED grant awarded to Butte-Silver. Director Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive and members of council. We'll open this up. We received one response to the request for proposals. It's from Western States Fire Protection from Missoula, Montana.
Thank you.
P.O. Box 903, Missoula, Montana. We did. Just want this first page. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, wait. Sorry.
Mr. Chief Executive, there is a bid bond from a licensed surety company that does appear to be in order.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce.
Sorry. Sorry, I'm just looking for a total. 1 second. Let's see. These one, these two. not very clear. It appears that the response to the RFP is broken out into phases, and there are 5 phases to what they responded to in this request for proposals. And so, not to confuse matters, but the request for proposals was a design build, so it is not a straight out bid. And so I can definitely read all the phases that have numbers associated with them. And there is no total at the bottom, so if someone wants to do math, that would be great while we read these.
Hattie is on it, or excuse me, Commissioner Thatcher is on it.
Hattie's great with math, so Commissioner Thatcher's great with math, excuse me.
Get her on the whiteboard.
All right. So phase 1 of this project would include the annex and annex levels, and that is $197,850.
Okay.
Phase 2 is the parking garage, which is a wet system, and that amount is $117,875. Phase 3 is the motor inn, and that is a dry system, and that is $104,500. Then there is the Phase 4, which is the west tower middle areas, including basement, main, and mezzanine levels, $212,135. Phase 5 is the west tower, levels 2 through 9, which is a wet system with standpipes and a roof manifold. That is $310,400.
Okay.
There is an additive alternate fuel pump package for $91,650. And then a sub-add alternate for exposed copper pipe for the historic lobby, to make it look very pretty and nice as a fire suppression system. That number is $90,500. So for a grand total, I believe, Sadie, thank you very much, of $1,756,360. $1,756,360.
Thank you, Director Burns.
Thank you for your patience.
Yeah. So, Commissioner O'Neill, are you going to?
Thank you, Chief Executive. Bill texted me again on the engineering assessment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner O'Neill and Commissioner Anderson. This being a design build kind of RFP, it's slightly harder to have an engineer's estimate, but we did have some early on estimates related to this project that were in the $700,000 range, and that was just for the fire suppression.
Thank you, Director Burns. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. Karen, I'm going to probably send this back to you, your department. I'm sure there are several maybe commissioners on the council that don't really know what a CDBG grant is. Could you do us the honors of just giving us a thumbnail sketch? Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Shaw. Director Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive and Commissioner Shaw. A CDBG grant is a community development block grant from the state of Montana. This grant was received a few years ago through the Economic Development Program by the Finland Hotel.
Thank you, Director Burns. Any other questions for Director Burns? Commissioner Reardon.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. How much is this grant for?
Commissioner Reardon, Director Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive and Commissioner Reardon. The grant is in the amount of $700,000. This is part of a much grander and larger renovation project for the Finland Hotel that has been being funded by multiple other sources. CDBG grant is just one portion.
Thank you, Director Burns. Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. I don't want to call Sadie out, but the three of us have gotten the same number, but it's different from what she got. So just in case, for a point of clarification, I believe it's $1,124,910.
Wow, that's better.
Your final answer.
Thank you, Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you.
That's good public school math right there.
That's right.
Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. This time, I would move that we refer the singular bid back to the Butte-Silver Community Development Department for their recommendation back to this body.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move this back to the Community Development Department for review. And that is the total again. Can you re-give that again?
$1,124,910.
Thank you, Commissioner Thatcher. Would commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Thank you very much, Director Burns.
Thank you.
Moving on to the consent agenda, we'll go through Section A, committee reports 1 through 4, and our communications 1 through 28. Do we have any segregations or friendly amendments? Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I would like to segregate item 14, 2022-341, and item 26, 2022-354.
That's communication for number 14, communication number 2022-341, and number 26, communication number 2022-354. Any other segregations? Seeing none. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I move to approve the consent agenda A1 through 4 and B1 through 28, with the exceptions of item 14, 22-341, and item 26, 22-354.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve tonight's consent agenda, except for items 14 and 26. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving back to number 14, communication number 2022-341. Ben Cassiano, property developer for Northwest Real Estate Capital Corp., requesting Council of Commissioners concurrence to add three business-related items to share and discuss regarding Meadowlark Senior Apartments. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. The reason I am segregating this, originally on Friday, I planned to refer this to Planning Department when I set the agenda, and actually Dylan and Lila came to the office and we talked about it, and they agreed that that would be the process to go through. But Mr. Casiano did write an email to me yesterday asking that we take one or two of these three business-related items apart, and it looked like it was just a premature request, but I was going to ask Lila if she wouldn't mind telling me a little more about it and let us know why I'm going to be withdrawing this from our communications.
Thank you, Commissioner Shaw.
Yep.
Welcome, Lila.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive, members of the council. For the record, Lila Osborne, Senior Planner. Yes, Mr. Cassiano is an applicant for a affordable housing, senior housing development. And we haven't yet had our pre-application meeting, which is a standard procedure that we do where we sit down with Public Works and Fire Department and Planning and kind of flesh out the early stages of any development project. And we haven't yet had that meeting. It's scheduled for the 18th. So I spoke with Mr. Cassiano today, and we decided that he would resubmit his communication once we have that meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Osborne. Is there anything else on the question? Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chief Executive Gallagher. Lila, thank you. I think a lot of us received an email from Ben, and I would like a point of clarification if this is in District 5 or 6 or what district you might be in. the Meadow Oak Apartments.
Commissioner
See the map's gone over there off the wall.
Commissioner Fisher, Ms. Osborne?
Mr. Jacob Executive, Mr. Fisher, I believe he's in your district. He had said he'd like to speak to you about possibly being the individual for a letter of support, whereas I recommended that he requested it from the council as a whole. I'm not sure if it matters for his requirements, but I believe it would be District 6.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Osborne. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I move to withdraw this communication 2022-341 and place it on file.
Second.
We have a motion to withdraw and place on file communication number 2022-341. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to, would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to number 26, communication number 2022-354. Eileen Joyce, Butte-Silver County Attorney, requesting Council Commissioners to complete the state-approved SUD treatment and prevention form for submission back to the DPHHS Addictive and Mental Disorders Division. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. When I received this, I knew that every year we get a letter from the state, and I believe this is correct, and they list the approved treatment and prevention outfits that are in our county, city county, to receive the funding that we get for the alcohol prevention. And we had 6 of them this time. We usually have 1 or maybe 2, and it was pretty easy, at that time. So the council is required to divvy up those funds to equal 100%, when you give so much percent to each one. And I thought Eileen had a great suggestion. I totally agree that it would be a great opportunity for each one of these folks to come before us and tell us what exactly they do. I think that would be appropriate and fits the order. And Eileen offered in her nice way to draft a letter to each of these people, and we would probably take a couple at a time, at a meeting. And there's really no timing. It would be retroactive to July 1st, and I believe it's given out on a quarterly basis, so there would be no timing issue, I don't believe, doing it this way. But with your indulgence, we will continue to hold it in the committee of the whole, and then we'll have opportunities to listen to the various these treatment and prevention companies to come before us. If there's anything else that you'd like to do, let me know.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Shaw. I believe County Attorney Joyce would like to speak to this matter just real briefly.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive and Commissioner Shaw. I just want to give a little background. So these alcohol air tax monies are given to each county based upon percentage of your population. And over the last several years, since the health department stopped having a chemical dependency part of their department, that happened in 2013, we asked for a request for information from other potential agencies that would be able to provide substance abuse treatment services. And there were 2 that submitted, responses, and CCCS was chosen at that time. And there was communication back in 2013 from the then Chief Executive, Matt Vincent, along with the then acting health officer, Dan Powers, recommending that CCCS be able to take over the chemical dependency program for Butte-Silver Borough, and that the council would need to transfer their alcohol air tax monies to CCCS. So since that time, we have been designating CCCS as our service provider to receive these alcohol tax monies. And as Commissioner Shaw indicated, this year there were several other agencies that have qualified through the state to be providers of those services. And we were supposed to have this designation back to the Department of Public Health and Human Services in June. but I didn't find out about it until last week, and Danette Gleason and I did call the Department of Public Health and Human Services, and the lady that runs this program also indicated that that was their advice to other counties, was to have, if you had more than one, to have them come and present to the commissioners what services they provide. And she did indicate that they do pay them it is payment on a quarterly basis, so that we wouldn't receive our first payment until October, but she would like us to get this back to her in August if possible, so that they could make the arrangements to have those payments made.
Thank you, County Attorney Joyce. Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I would go ahead and refer to the committee of the whole as I had originally planned to do, and I hope everyone understands what the process that this will be for us, and that's about it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to refer to the committee of the whole. Is there anything on the question? Commissioner?
Thank you, Chief Executive
Jenkins.
Gallagher.
I just read.
What kind of money are we talking about here that has been allocated to?
Commissioner Mankins, Director Gleason.
Chief Executive Gallagher, Commissioner Mankins, for the record, Danette Gleason, the Finance and Budget Director. It's a varying amount. Each quarter payment is consistent over the years, but we've received anywhere from $15,000 to $16,000 a quarter. The most recent number is up to about $20,000 a quarter, and then they do a true-up based on additional funding that they receive. So on average, around $120,000 a year is what we get. And we're a pass-through entity because of the mechanisms that were put in place in 2013. So we basically collect the funds and pass it on through on the contract to CCCS right now. I think what's important too is on the form, it lists the services that the state has approved certain entities to provide within the community. So not every entity can provide every single service that we have today. And so we have to make sure that not only would we be looking at the dollars, I think it'd be better to base what services we want provided, then look at the allocation of how we want those funds to go to based on a percent, because that last dollar amount is a true up. It's not like a flat amount all the time.
Thank you, Director Gleason. Any other questions of commissioners? Okay, we have a motion and a second to move this to the committee of the whole. Could commissioners please vote? Would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to Section 4, ordinances resolution introduced to judiciary. We have 3 that will be moved to judiciary. Please note those 3 Council Bills number 2022-07, Council Bill number 2022-08, and Council Bill number 2022-09. Moving on to Section 5, ordinances and resolutions for final reading. Clerk, could you please read the caption?
Council Bill number 2022-05, ordinance number 2022-05, an ordinance amending Chapter 216 of the Butte-Silver Municipal Code entitled Fire Department, specifically amending Sections 216490 and 216510, and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I move to place Council Bill number 2022-05, ordinance number 2022-05 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to place on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Our next one is Council Bill number 2022. Clerk, please read the caption.
Council Bill number 2022-06, ordinance number 2022-06, an ordinance amending Section 17-060-030 of the Butte-Silver Municipal Code, BSBMC, which section adopted the zoning map of the Butte-Silver, State of Montana, providing for a change to the official zoning district map by rezoning approximately 14.5 acres from R1 Single Family Residential and R3 Multifamily Residential to C2 Community Commercial, commonly located north of the intersection of Continental Drive and Olympic Way. The subject area comprises 3 properties in Section 33, Township 3 North, Range 7 West of the city and county of Butte-Silver Bowl, state of Montana, providing for the repeal of all parts of ordinances in conflict herewith and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Council Bill number 2022-06 and Ordinance 2022-06 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to place on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? Would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to Section 6, ordinances and resolutions for emergency suspension of the rules. We have 2, so Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. At this time, I move for the suspension of the rules for the purpose of passing Council Resolution number 2022-41 and Resolution number 2022-42 by waiving subsection of Rule 36 of the Rules and Order of Business of the Council of Commissioners, thereby having them considered for advanced passage without reference to the Judiciary Committee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend the emergency, to have emergency suspension of the rules. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? Would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to our first resolution. Clerk, please read the caption.
Resolution number 2022-41, a resolution requesting appointment of the county attorney for the Anaconda Deer Lodge, Montana as a special prosecutor and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Shaw.
I move to place Resolution number 2022-41 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to place on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to our second resolution. Clerk, please read the caption.
Resolution number 2022-42, a resolution granting conditional approval of the Copper Fox Estates major subdivision of the city and county of Butte-Silver Bow, state of Montana, providing for the repeal of all parts of resolutions in conflict herewith and providing for an effective date herein.
Commissioner Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Executive. I move to place Resolution number 2022-42 on final reading and passed, having been deemed fully read at length.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to place on final reading. Is there anything on the question? Could commissioners please vote? And would anyone like to change their vote? Clerk, please record the vote.
11 yea, 0 nay.
11 yeas, 0 nay, motion passes. Moving on to our next item, calendar and other meetings and events. Please note all the dates and times of our meetings and committees. And now I'd open up for any public comment on any item that is not on the agenda tonight. If you have any comment on any item not on the agenda, please come forward, state your name, address, and what you'll be speaking to us about tonight. Seeing none, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signal by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Have a great night.